I went for a nice swim, and today is a glorious day, and I don't know if you can see that, but there is the big nickel and dynamic earth. That's where we are going today. Over 1.85 billion years ago, a meteorite hit this area, the Sudbury area, Nickel City. And so yes, it is the largest concentration of mines in the world. And yeah, it is quite an interesting spot. It used to look quite desolate because of all the mining and so on, all rich rock, but dark black rock. And so yeah, it was actually mentioned when they went to the moon that it looked like the Sudbury area. And so you can find that on YouTube if you want. But yeah, let's get right into it. Big nickel is what it used to be referred to, which is now dynamic earth. We are going on a tour underground. Let's go to dynamic earth where we will see a big nickel. And let's see if there's anything worth 5 cents anymore. But while I'm on the subject, 5 cents can't buy you a lot these days. In fact, there's not a lot of things that are for free, but one thing that is for free is you can like and subscribe to the channel, and if you're enjoying the videos, and even share with others. Not a lot of things are free in the world, but you can do that. So it would really help to grow the channel. We are guilty ourselves. Sometimes we're watching our favorite creators and you get really into the show. Next thing you know, it's done, and geez, we didn't even like it or subscribe. And so please do that, because it really does help grow the channel. I mean, it takes a lot of work for creators. I'm not complaining. I love the journey, and I love to put out videos, and it helps me grow, keeps my mind active, and you know, keeps us engaged. And so I don't mind, but it would help to show that we want to see more of this and what you would like. Put a comment down below if you have something interesting that you want to mention. If you're from the area, have you ever been? Would you like to go see the mines? Yeah, let me know your thoughts on different things, like how much it used to cost, what you could buy for 5 cents way back when. Anyways, let's get right into the video. I can't wait to show you. Let's go. Super Stack in Sudbury was one of the, well, actually is the tallest chimney in Canada and Western Hemisphere. It's being taken down now. Mining in the early days. Look at that. Even a candle on his hat. Isn't that crazy? It's not even a helmet. So many samples of rocks. Look at that. It's so interesting. There's just so many. The work booths have changed over the years. This is what we call the dry. This is where all the uniforms for underground get hung up at the end of a shift so that they can dry, which is why it's called the dry. Because it is quite wet underground and humid, sometimes cold.
So like I mentioned, there's not going to be any words, just a little bit of music, but I'm just
going to start. Let's go.
Try not to jump or anything in the cage, just because it's still an elevator, it still doesn't love that. of our mines here in Sudbury. Our deepest one right now is sitting at around 2.8 kilometers in depth, which is our crazy mine. Our humidity levels and our CO2, and everything looks good, so we're good to open the second door. Sudbury is one of the world's top producers of nickel copper ore, and we have a mining culture that dates all the way back to the 1880s. Now this right here is about a ton of that Sudbury ore, and this is exactly what our miners are looking for. So once this has gone through the whole refining process, we've melted it down, extracted to the point where you can't see anything, but I won't leave you guys in the dark for too long. But this is one of the reasons why we've got our cap lamps and things like that, so that in the case we have to travel in parts of the mine where there's no lights, or if there's a power outage or anything that's going on, we always have lights. But now we're going to head back all the way to the 1880s, where Western mining started here in Sudbury. Now for those who are tall, this guy can help up on the light.
Not good. Go ahead.
So first thing that we see in the 1880s, what do you see? Sudbury timbers as our drift supports. And this is actually really big for a drift at this time. They were only big enough so that you could crawl on your hands and knees to get through them. So very, very small spaces. Candles, yeah, so we had no electricity in the 1880s, so candles was our source of light. Now the mining companies did not supply them for you, so you had to bring your own, and you had to make sure you brought enough for your 12-hour shift, or else you were working most of your day in the dark. Now in order to get a job in one of our mines here in Sudbury, in the 1880s, you only had to be 13 years old to bring home that extra paycheck for your family, or you were mainly coming from the Cornish mines in England to help us out here. Now we are going to be heading through the drift. Please watch your heads as it is quite low, and watch your heads the whole way through. It won't be too long, but watch yourself. 12-hour shifts, but as a laborer, you make about $1.60 a day for your entire 12-hour shift. So definitely not a whole lot for us today, but it was still a well enough paying job at the time. But keep in mind, if you're about 13 or older, and you are buying your candles for your shift and all of that fun stuff. Now the next job over here with the pickaxe is for our full-fledged miner. So their job is to hit the rocks, break them into smaller pieces so that it's a little bit easier and they're a little bit smaller to throw into our ore cart. And they make a little bit more than our laborers do. They make about $2 a day. And then our last job is over here with the chisel and the hammer for our driller. So their job is to take the chisel, put it up the rock face, hit it, rotate, rotate, and continue that until they make a hole that's about 2 feet deep. Company here in Sudbury, so just over 100 years ago. Here's where we also have carbide lamps instead of those candles. So it's water with calcium carbide, which makes acetylene gas, and that's what's going to keep the flame burning. And then they're going to put that on the top of their hard hats, like you'll see here. So keep in mind, we've got an open flame, some wood around, definitely super safe. One of our staff members. And then like you saw here, how small the drifts were. But we're going to scoot a little bit more over this way just to talk about the drill that's closer over here. So this is one of the first drills that we have here in Sudbury. This is the Sherbrooke Grand pneumatic drill. So what 2 feet deep, this is where we see the dynamite come in. And if you look really closely here, we're going to see them light it and just kind of casually walk away. And then this is where our laborer is going to throw all that broken ore into the ore cart, and the youngest out of the crew would have to push the ore cart all the way to the ore chute. So all those 13-year-olds. Which is exactly where we're headed next. We're going to move. So this is our 1880s ore chute. Ore chutes are used to transport the ore between different levels of a mine, so we can then bring it down to the deepest, lowest level, and then bring them all up from the same place. So it's kind of like a huge. But if we're looking at the rocks, they're all different shapes and sizes, and they're all going through the same narrow hole at the same time. A lot of the times what happens is they get stuck, but when they got stuck, we had to get them out to keep production moving. And the first way was by using this scaling bar. This is again the job for our youngest. They're going to climb up that chute and poke at the rocks until they come loose and fall down. So again, not very safe, but for the most part it did work. For the times it didn't though, we sent another 13-year-old up there with a stick of dynamite though this time. They'd light it and then they would run. Again, super dangerous. But the other thing with the dynamite is you're blowing up your entire ore chute because it is made out of wood. And without that, you can no longer transport that ore, no production, no money. So it's just overall very bad for both the mine and the workers. And it was up to the miners to fix the ore chute on their own time, and they were not being paid the overtime that it took to fix it. Nowadays though, most of our ore chutes are made out of metal, so we can blast them without damaging them. And we're gonna move over once again. Wash your heads for those who are tall. To the 1950s, and the 1950s are what we call the boom years for mining here in Sudbury. We had over 20,000 miners working with us here in Sudbury alone. Resident, we have roughly about 10,000, which is still a big number, but not as huge as it was. These drills over here. So this is the first drill that we're talking about is over on the left side. This is what we call the jackleg drill. This is in fact still used in our mines today, just not as often. Now this one you may have also seen for our little kiddos in the Explorer mine downstairs, but that's the blue one that you see. So remember that name, it's called the jackleg. So the reason it was so popular at the time is because it is supported by an air leg down here, which made it super easy to work with and easy to maneuver, not like our other one where it's stationary. And instead of having a second miner to put water on the drill bit, there's going to be water going directly into the drill bit for you and still powered by air. Same thing with the second one over on the right side. This is called the stoper, has the air and the water, but the big differences here are that they're going to drill in different directions. Grab all those rocks and throw them over into your cart. Now there is a big problem with this one, and that was that there was always a miner standing right here, facing this way, controlling it. So what's wrong with that? Well, exactly. You got your back here, there's rocks flying over your head, like I mentioned. So a lot of people, unfortunately, did get hurt with that one. Those are some pretty heavy rocks with a lot of metals. And like we saw before, the hard hats weren't amazing. But it's very rare that we see this in our mines today. Only certain ones use it. And then the last machine that we're going to see is over here. We are going to get a chance to get closer to it in just a minute. This is what we call the slusher. The slusher is kind of like a big rake. So close to the red wall. Corner here to a safer area. Alright, the way that this is going to work is I'm going to go back and light it, but before I do, I'm going to yell at you guys and say all clear. That is one, going to serve as your warning when I'm about to set it off so that you can cover your ears, close your eyes, whatever you feel that you have to do. And two, I need everyone to yell all clear back to me. So I want to hear you yell all clear back to me. Am I all clear? All clear! All clear! All right, fire in the wall! So we're going to continue over this way, talk some more about some newer machines. I'm just going to say it while we're here because we'll be a little separated. When we walk by, on the left side, there's a blue drill. It is called the diamond drill. And beside it, you'll see a bunch of carrots that we use as core samples. You are more than welcome to stop and touch them if you like. Just be careful not to drop them on your toes. They're still heavy. But we can come on through and you'll see it over on the left here. So like I said, diamond drill, and then our core samples that you can touch if you like. Once you're done, we're just going to exit out in this area. In our mines, first thing that we have is a little bit bigger machines. So like this one, this is only the front part of it, but it is called the LHD. We're super original with our name. It stands for load, haul, dump machine. So it's going to load, haul, and dump all that broken ore back to our ore chutes by our skips. And then we also see more ventilation underground. So over on the far side, they're not too loud today. They're not on full blast, but you might hear them a little bit. We've got some big fans that are going to push air throughout the entire mine. Obviously, in bigger mines, they are much bigger systems than the one we have here. And another little fun fact is that a lot of people know that women were not allowed underground for the longest time. The common reason people know is that they thought we were unfit for the job, but the other reason was because here in Sudbury they believed that women were bad luck. So if a woman came down underground, the men would stop working because they thought something bad was going to happen to them. And we kind of saw that put into perspective when Queen Elizabeth and her mom both came down here in Sudbury, and the men actually stopped working for 2 weeks because they thought something bad was going to happen to them. So a little bit ridiculous, but in our mines today here in Sudbury, we are close to about half and half to male versus female workers. Our females are about in the 40%, so they're on the higher end of the 40s. But now we're going to head over to more modern day mine, to some better stuff than what we have. Roughly about the early 2000s, and the first big machine that we've got here is the Simba drill over in the image. This is only a very small part of our Simba drill, but it mainly focuses on our vertical development. And then the one behind me over here is the Jumbo. This is one of its arms, and it can have multiple arms and drill through multiple holes at a time. So this one will focus a little bit more on horizontal development. And the other thing with these bigger machines is that we need bigger and wider drifts, not the ones that we have seen so far, and much bigger than the ones we are in right now as well. You have to remember these machines are massive. We are going to see both the Jumbo and the Simba in action in the video a little bit later on, but the videos still make them look not too big, but they are huge. But now we're going to head over to our refuge. as you guys have gotten to know a little bit, our refuge stations are used as our lunchroom. And a fun fact about the lunch boxes that we have here and the ones that we mostly see in Sudbury are created by a family that came from Sudbury. And they were not only used originally as lunch boxes, but they were also used as seats, so the miners would flip it over on their side and sit on them to wait for the cage to come down. But the other huge important thing that we have refuge stations for is in the case of an emergency. So in the case of an emergency, whether it's a fire, some rocks falling, anything that can cause our miners harm, we are going to send a set for the ventilation system called Echo Mercaptan. It is also known as stench or stench gas. I'm going to pass it around if you'd like to smell it. Feel free to.
Smelled it enough.
It is not a very pleasant smell. However, the real one is much stronger than that one, but it's fairly similar. And again, not a good smell, but it is very effective. So the other cool thing is that our refuge stations will have a separate ventilation system, so you don't necessarily smell this in the refuge stations, but it's also because if there's anything that is toxic in the air and that is what causing the emergency, this is safer. And we also have what we call shotcrete, which is basically spray concrete all around the refuge station. It just gives an extra layer of protection, which makes it, again, safer than what we see out there. And the last thing I'm going to mention is that we have Canada's deepest mailbox, which is just right over there in the corner. So if anyone has any mail to send, feel free to do so now. But if not, we're going to head to our last stop of the tour. This one we would typically also see up on the screen. This one is used mainly for this top part in, and then we're going to attach the bottom part, and it's going to spin in circles, grind all our rock up, and then make a hole that's big enough for what we need it for. And like I mentioned, this is a still small enough version, but this one here made the hole that we see just over there above our heads. And I'm just going to let this sound.
Mom down.
Is anybody in a rush to get back up to service? Do you want to follow me a little bit closer?
We don't want to hold you up and they're laughing because they know they got an audience.
I don't think there's any other tours after us.
Yeah, they're all laughing like, "Hey, do I have my seat?"
Well, that was pretty cool that they let us check that out. So now the tour is over. We're gonna go to the gift shop. It exits through there, like most places, and we're gonna go and check out a little museum, a rock exhibition, and so on. If you ever get a chance to come out and check this out, it's a great place for kids. They have a park where you can replicate being a miner, mucking and drilling, and with styrofoam, and it's a lot of fun. And they do a lot of things during holiday seasons as well. In 1910, you could buy a bag of sugar. It was 5 cents per pound. And Hershey bars for 5 cents, and Coca-Cola. Crazy. All kinds of things, you guys. So when my kids were young, they used to collect rocks because, well, we live in Sudbury and there is a lot of rocks. Look at that. Nice fossil. And anything they'd find they could bring here, and they'd collect points, and then you could trade it in and get more points, and you could grab anything that you want from here depending on how much you had. It was quite interesting. Yeah, it was quite the program for the kids. Look at that. Amethyst. Some copper. Sudbury ore. That's the big dog. So many coins dating from 1880s all the way up, and the evolution of the dime, not the dime, sorry, but the nickel, big nickel, silly me. But yeah, isn't this interesting? Yeah, it's quite cool. You can pause if you want to take a look. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the underground tours, and I work in mining, so it's not necessarily interesting to me, but I really hope you enjoyed it. Brings some perspective sometimes when you see people explore underground in mines, maybe even abandoned mines. I don't know what kind of shows you're watching, but even ghost town mining, but gives some perspective of what you're seeing. And yes, those jack legs are still used underground. I work in mining and I do not use that, but yeah, I just thought that was really cool. See if I can get this in the video here. It's fairly big, so as you get closer, it's really hard to see. There's lots of snow. Again, springtime. Wasn't expecting this. this? Couldn't earlier. There you go. And I'll put all the specs of that. But I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to live adventure and explore. I do hope you enjoyed the video. And boy, what a treat. So when the firefighters were actually here and they were practicing, I guess, rigging, and not rigging, but rappelling. And so they're using the chasm here. The chasm is what we are calling where the elevator replicating a cage underground went down, and so they're rappelling the wall, and we got to see that. The lady was really nice to let us film that and do that, and so that was really crazy. Really enjoyed that. But now, I did not start off in mining. I actually got into mining after our kids were, just a fun fact, guys, I got into mining after our kids were grown up, or in their later teens. And I was able to earn a little extra money. And so, yeah, you're never too old to get into something new. Adventure and explore, leave no trace and only inspiration. And I will see you in the next one. Let me show you their sauce. Oh, man, it smells so good. I gotta eat. Spot, if you go and check out Dynamic Earth, or you go check out Science North, do stop at Deluxe. It's one of their local places. And you want to go and check that out and look at the gravy. Oh, it smells so good. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do stop at Deluxe. It's not McDonald's. It's the One Arch.